And welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. And excited here. Finally, we have a game to talk about, a game to be able to break down as Ohio State downs the Akron 𝗟𝗓𝗡 52-6. Happy Labor Day, everybody. Hopefully you're out there. You know, Schlegs, I didn't have a Labor Day off from the time I was in 7th grade until my last year playing. I think we got a couple of Labor Days off when I was in radio early on, but now we're back at it because we're always coming at you after games. So Monday was Labor Day. We're going to labor. We're going to give you all the news, nuggets, and notes, break down this Buckeyes game. We'll be joined with Lathan Ransom as well, Ohio State safety and the touchdown maker, if you will, the scoop and score king, getting another touchdown added to his resume. So he'll join the program, talk a little tailgate talk, get the headlines from college football. Huge week, by the way, Schlegs. Huge week when you start talking about the games. A lot of compelling, close games. Some games maybe, if you're Oregon, we're a little closer than what you anticipated or a little closer than what you thought. Or if you're Penn State and James Franklin, you might be feeling pretty chesty and pretty good about yourself based upon how your team ultimately looks. So with Ohio State, Schlegs, coming out of the gate, kind of just initial thoughts as you consumed that game of how you thought it ultimately went.
You want the whole snapshot, Bob, or just the first half?
Well, I mean, listen, we could just do – this is what my guy Anthony Rothman said. He said, paint some broad strokes right now. We don't need to get into the details.
You're a broad stroker.
Broad strokes.
All the way up and down. Got it. So here's the deal. First game, right? Saw a little jitters. And I would say this, like, it's not necessarily the pressure. It's just Ohio Stadium. It's the first game. You're actually against somebody else. Wasn't exactly what you wanted, right? But then defense, even the next series, you had a personal foul with targeting, got overturned, still personal foul. It's the first day of a long journey, right? Guys are playing with a lot of emotion as opposed to just executing. Then they kind of settle down. Second possession, they go down, score. JJ with his first touchdown in Ohio Stadium. Great play. You saw CJ Hicks get in there on a sack. Like, it wasn't what – I mean, I predicted 70-3, right? Like, everything I saw in camp, I'm like, man, they're going to beat the brakes off these guys. But Akron's gotten better through the portal. But here's the deal. In the second half, Will Howard were 7-7. And even some of those ones that he had in the first half, the touchdown pass to 𝗟𝗡𝗩, the wrist was down, great body control, couple of drops, right? That percentage goes up. I thought in the second half, they made adjustments. They settled down. They executed. Are there things that we have to clean up on both sides of the ball? 100%. I saw tight ends blocking and finishing blocks. Were there some missed blocks on the offensive line? Yeah. And hey, dude finishers, that's what you want at the tight end position. How many reception targets? 3. Who cares? Run the ball. So I say all that to where I'll take you to my highlight of the game. And it was just the defense for me, fast, hard, and violent. Jack Sawyer is a testament to that. No sacks, tons of quarterback pressures, took a dude out of the game. Guys being focused, and questions we'll ask Lathan about turning the ball over, punching a dude in the sternum, right? Like Cade Curry coming back and knocking the ball out. Second effort play, 2 touchdowns on defense, 3 interceptions. They had 11 all of last year. And then Brandon Ennis. So I'll just leave it at that. Like, so there's so many good things to capitalize. And always remember, you go from week 1 to week 2. Like, that's a big jump. That's the biggest jump. So again, great win for the Buckeyes.
Very good win.
Give me your thoughts. Give me your nuggets.
You touched on a lot of stuff there. Like you said, slow start. Little concerning at the beginning. I'm thinking we're going to come out. And, it's like I have like the Michigan State game from a couple years back is kind of the standard for elite domination when they came out and scored 7 touchdowns on 7 possessions in the first half of a football game. I'd never seen that before. And I'm thinking, okay, you're playing Akron, come out here. Is it a race to 100? Can you get off the field 3 and outs? They shouldn't have the ball more than 4 or 5 plays in a row. You can get turnovers, you can get sacks. And then on offense, are you going to be able to continue to push the ball not only down the field, but will you road grade up front? Are you going to be able to just hammer away and get as many yards as you need to? If you need 5, you're getting 6, you're getting 7, you're getting 8. And I'm going to be honest, Schlegs, initially, I wouldn't say I was concerned, but it didn't feel very good off the jump. Like the first 3 series, like it didn't feel very good to me. I mean, not in a bad way, just I expected a little more domination. And sometimes like the problem is here as we set up like completely unrealistic expectations where every play should be perfect and dominant. And they got to where you wanted to be. And if you would have said, hey, end of the game, 52-6, Will's going to play well. They're going to run the ball pretty well. They're going to throw it. JJ's going to play great. Defense forces turnovers. Defense is going to get scores. Like I would have taken all of those things. But when I was watching it in the moment, it didn't necessarily feel like quite as good early on as I probably would have liked.
Well, and that's probably because so much of the offseason we've been talking about the physicality up front. And I would say this, a highlight for me, I saw Seth McGowan does a really nice job of blocking. Like he's a very, very good puller. And the snap was not his fault. New guy in, right? The clap's a little bit different. Like he was visibly pissed, right? So something happened there. And then also you're missing Donnie. Donnie wasn't there. Donnie didn't necessarily need to be there. Why do you got to play in these games? You can ooze them in, especially when you're playing Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall. So again, I don't know the details of it. Who cares? Other guys have to step up. And that's just where, when you have pullers, who's the guy? Am I going? There was one where it was a guard tight end pull. Like, do I kick out this guy? Do I turn upfield? Who has that guy? And those would have been big, big runs. Should we execute on that? Those are things that you correct in film. And I'm with everybody else. We got to see them next week. Some of the bigger runs that we had were to the right side, and they were on the perimeter when we had good pulls. And that's kind of where you also want to be able to live within the box and just move people. And we were talking to Devin Hester about gap runs. Like he loves that, right?
Devin's cousin, Jacob.
I'm sorry, Jacob. I was thinking, well, Devin, I was watching that Catholics versus Convicts on the play. It's probably why I got Miami in the head, even though different generation. Anyways, Jacob's the man. But that being said, like those are things that you want to see corrected. There's even things on defense that you want to see corrected. I'll tell you one thing that I saw that I absolutely loved from the linebacker position. That was Arvell Reese, man. Like that dude was flying around, belly, all up in that belly, was running around sideline to sideline. But just the depth at defensive end. And this is something that, again, you're going to watch. Like they're getting after the quarterback, violent hands in the chest, bull rush, allowed them to do some spin moves, allowed them to have quarterback pressures. But then the interior, I think Tyleek had a very, very good game. Yep. But overall, right, I just thought defensively, they lived up to the standard of excellence, and we're excited to watch how they grow. People go like, well, Caleb Downs, did he really make an impact in that game? He did. But again, it's limited reps. Like there's only one football, guys, right? And you have all these different playmakers. Same thing. When I have a D line that is getting that much pressure and causing that much stuff, they ain't getting the ball downfield, right? It's like, so when Denzel made that pick, boom, great play by him. IGB had a good PBU. I saw Jordan Hancock had some good plays. Overall, really, really good quality game. First game of the year for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Caleb, do you have an impact? The guy to sack. I mean, the defense made a ton of plays. This was the most productive I had seen this defense in quite some time. Last year, they were dominant and they were smothering, but they didn't necessarily have a lot of those big impact plays. Saturday, rather, lots of big impact plays. One of the guys who made the biggest, our friend, great dude, leader of this team, safety Lathan Ransom. He's going to join the program here next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Well, how do they know I'm doing this? Did somebody leak this out?
It's social media.
Oh.
That's the way social media works now.
I thought maybe you were just running that yap.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland.
All right, now we're welcomed in by our guy, Mr. Lathan Ransom. And, best Mondays in football are always after a victory Monday. Lathan, how are we feeling after the game? And do we settle in, get a chance to relax at all on Saturday?
Yeah, feeling really good after the game. There's never really a time to relax, especially during the season. Got in on Sunday, made our corrections, got our practice in, lifted. And then today, already on to the next game and preparing for our next game.
All right, Lathan. So, I've been talking to you all off season, and it's been I've enjoyed watching you. I get to know you more and see you in the weight room, see what type of man you are. And in this game, it had a significant impact. And we've told people, Bobby and I, you're a huge impact, huge loss last season. How good was it just to get back on the field? You had 2 tackles for loss. You had 9 tackles. You had a touchdown, fumble recovery. Just talk about getting back into the flow of playing football again.
Yeah, I think as I told people before is when you get football taken away from you, you gain some perspective. So for me, when we have long camp days, we have so many meetings, there's so many practices. For me, I'm always just excited to do it all because I've had it taken away from me once before. So to get out there and get to play the game again and almost get emotional going into the game just because you see all the fans again, you see the big stadium, the platform that you're playing on, and just to be back there again, man, it was amazing, especially to have the game that I had.
Let's talk a little bit. You said the game that you had, 9 tackles, 5 solos, couple TFLs. Scoop and score for a touchdown. It's probably about as good of opening. If you were to plan it out, could you have asked for really anything else? And then what was the feeling like ending up in the end zone?
Yeah, so I think, you guys know me really well. Going into the season, I continue to have a real big chip on my shoulder, especially just not being able to play last year. I feel like being one of the safeties overlooked going into the season this year. So every time I step on the field, I try to play with that big chip on my shoulder. And then to go in and then have the first game that we play, it felt really good. But now that game's over, we're on to the next. And I hopefully to continue to have those games throughout the season. But going into that end zone, it was exciting, especially being, my first touchdown, just being a Buckeye. My biggest thing was just I almost dropped the ball. So my biggest thing was just to get the ball and then to just not get caught from behind. That was all that was going through my head.
Hey, Silver Bullet Player of the Week, Lathan Ransom. All right, so talk to us a little bit about the emphasis of turnovers this year. And in one game, you guys had 3. I believe it was 11 last year. Just tell me what the coaches are saying, what they've been saying all year, how you guys practice this, why is it something that is important, and how do you guys talk about it as a team?
Yeah, so the biggest thing was after this season, we met with the defense as a whole and kind of looked at all the categories that we did well at and the ones we needed to improve. The ones that we did well at was obviously from the year before was explosive plays. That was something we did really well at and something that we improved at from the year before and we'll continue to improve at. And then our biggest thing that we weren't as good as we wanted to be was turnovers. So obviously going into the season, that's what we really nailed upon. And throughout practice, continue to punch the ball out, interceptions, tips and overthrows, got to have those. All categories like that we've been trying to prove at, and just to see how much we work on practice and then see show up in the game, man. It just says numbers about our defense as a whole.
So, guy you've been working with a lot during your career at Ohio State, Cody Simon, gets the Block O award, a little nicked up, doesn't get a chance to play. You just slide Sonny Styles right over to middle linebacker, does a great job. But the communication's a little bit different. Obviously, Sonny, I think, was wearing the helmet communication. What was that like now with the helmet communication in game? I know Coach Knowles can get a little crazy screaming into that mic sometimes. So how did Sonny handle that? How was the huddling? Because this kind of new era for all you guys.
Yep. So first of all, I think that just speaks volumes about Sonny. From being a linebacker last year to going to play Will this year. Now, a week before the first game, has to get moved to Mike. And it handles it so well. So I think that just speaks volume about him. And then also played at a very high level. And then the huddle thing has definitely been something that we had to get used to. I honestly feel bad for Sonny. We're all surrounded Sonny. Sonny, what's the call? Hounded Sonny for the call so we can go and make our checks. But it's definitely been interesting. I think it's nice that, we don't have to deal with issues like our signals getting stolen and stuff like that. So I think that's nice. But it's definitely been something we've had to adjust to.
Hey, let me ask you a question. So leave no doubt.
Take them out.
That's right, man. And so when you got to watch the totality of the game, because you're seeing it from the second level, how impressed were you from the violence up front?
Oh, very impressed. I think we have the best D-line in the country. So to see them go out there, and produce the way they produce is exciting. And then I always laugh is from my point of view as a safety, I see everything. So, you see the big hits, people get duffed, you see people get juked. So I always laugh when I'm back there backpedaling and I'm seeing a sack. I got to remember sometimes not to celebrate because I'm still in coverage. So I'm back there backpedaling, wanting to celebrate, but I also got to remember, I'm still in coverage. So, just doing that is definitely funny. But, man, seeing them go back there and just play the way they did, man, it gets us excited.
No, that's something those guys all talk. I mean, everybody in the secondary, especially that corner group, incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
For him to get that first pick of the season, I'm sure he had a little something to say to everybody.
Yeah, Denzel, definitely excited. We all wanted that first one. So for him to get that, man, it was exciting. And, the work that Denzel's put in this offseason and just the way he competes every day, man, he was bound to have some production. And I was excited. I had right there next to him to get the view of his interception, watch him rip it out of that player's hands. So, man, it was exciting. And it was a great play to start the season off.
Yeah, one thing I noticed in this game, too, was hats around the ball. I thought you guys did a really, really nice job pursuing and running to the football. Is that another thing that you guys just made an emphasis of this offseason?
Yeah, most definitely. So every practice that we have in this offseason, we're graded. We have an effort grade put up in front of the whole defense. So if there's a practice you want to run into the ball, it's getting exposed in front of the whole defense. So you don't want to be that guy that doesn't have 100% effort grade. And you definitely see that on film. And then I always emphasize on our D-line. Our D-line's effort is unlike any others. If you turn on the tape at practice, you turn on the tape in the game, Coach Jay does such a good job of getting them to run to the ball. After they rush, turn around, run to the ball. And, Tyleek, there's film of Tyleek running 50 yards down the field trying to, catch the guy that has the ball. So just to see them go to go out there on display, man, it's definitely, I know it's fun to watch.
Oh, it's tremendous. I mean, the defense, there's a lot of speed there. And Lathan, I know you talked earlier with us, either, on the podcast, or my radio show, you've addressed like, hey, we want to be the best defense in Ohio State history. And obviously off to a tremendous start. One of the things that, I noticed during camp and even in the spring, all the different position groups, they do a good job of trying to blend everybody together and work different groups in together. So it's not always the same 11 on the field a lot of the times. And you may be working with, a different group of corners, different group of linebackers. Like when that happens, and then obviously there's guys that switch around the game. Like how is that tough? Is that to work with different guys, and then to understand like drops, communication, and everything that goes along with that?
Yeah, I think like you said, our team does such a good job of always rotating us in, always giving us different looks, different players, because people think that it doesn't matter. That does matter. There's our different linebackers. They have different type of play styles. Different DBs have different amounts of experience. So, when you go out there with them, being able to communicate, being all on the same level, speaking all the same language is huge. And I think that our team does a good job preparing us for that. So in the game, there's no overlap.
Hey, I want to ask you this. So when you guys are watching film as a team, give me some clips from the offense. Because you guys are on the sideline making your adjustments, and you got to get to watch the game a little bit.
Yeah.
But give me some juice that they were promoting over there on the offensive side of the ball.
First of all, the first play that I seen after the game was over was at nighttime. I'm on Instagram. I seen Trey's block. Man, that block got me juiced up. That was one of my favorite play, honestly, from the offense that whole game. Just to see him, hit that block, stand over the dude with a lot of juice. That got me excited. Especially, I've been the guy blitzing at Trey before, so I've definitely been a guy that hit him before. So that just got me excited. And then obviously seeing Jeremiah come out there, play the way he did was exciting. Carnell Tate made plays, and then like you guys said, I heard you guys talking before. I joined. Brandon Ennis, just see a punt returner back there, fearless, going up there, to get the ball and get some returns going. That was really exciting. Gets the the punt block team going. So I think there was a lot of great things we saw, both running backs too as well. So I can't wait to see what we do next week.
Oh, it's going to be tremendous. All right, we're going to take a quick little break. We got more coming back with Lathan Ransom after this.
Well, how do they know I'm doing this? Did somebody leak this out?
It's social media.
Oh.
That's the way social media works now.
I thought maybe you were just running that yap.
Welcome back in. Still here with state safety Lathan Ransom, senior touchdown maker, leading the team with 9 tackles. A lot of people some people may know this or not. Obviously, you guys switched hotels. You were at the Blackwell around campus. You moved to a hotel downtown, kind of get away from it all a little bit. What was that experience like, kind of changing it up for a guy who's been here for a number of years, like now doing things a little bit different here on this opening weekend?
Yeah, it was honestly way different. Almost kind of felt like an away game, just because it's now we're used to, a different hotel, different locations. Some of the things we did were a little different from the Blackwell. So I think that aspect was nice, but the hotel is nice. The hotel was really nice, nice air conditioning. I like my hotel room like freezing cold, so it was freezing cold, and I think it was nice.
Hey, we talked about competitive excellence all the time in that program and on the show. How has that experience been when you go into a game? And again, it's Akron, it's not Oregon, it's not Michigan, it's not, Penn State. But the competitive excellence from Zone 6, day in and day out, preparing you for these games on both sides of the ball, how does that really equate? Because I don't think people truly appreciate competitive excellence the way that we do at Ohio State.
Yeah, so first of all, Coach Day's 2 main goals going into every game is to grade out a champion and then to be the hardest playing team in the country. So just knowing that in the back of your head, and then to go out there and obviously when we're competing against Zone 6 every day, the best quarterback, best O-line, best running backs every day, we treat every game like it's a big matchup because, you've seen across the country, there was teams that struggled against, teams that would be so-called not high opponents like the other ones. And I just think we never overlook a team, never overlook who you're playing, never look to next week, and just, live in the moment and treat every game like it's the biggest game because as I was telling the defense and the DBs, anytime you're in the shoe is an honor. So go out there, play as hard as you can play.
Well, you talk about anytime the shoe is an honor. You only got 7 more left, Lathan. That's assuming, like, God willing, you're able to make it out to each and every one of them, feel good about it, and, like, be healthy. So it always is important to make sure that you obviously, like you said, put it all out there and be ready to rock. I'm more curious, about this, the hotel situation. Sleggs and I, we'd room together sometimes. We'd rotate roommates. You've been doing this for a while. Do they room you with other DBs? Do you get to pick your roommates? Do they do old guys, young guys? What's the setup and how does that work?
Yeah, so it's definitely changed throughout the years when I've been here. When I first got here, they always roomed a young guy with an old guy. And as it went along, I think last year I was roomed with Malik, so we're still doing that. This year I'm roomed with Caleb. I think because Caleb's a transfer and I kind of know the ropes a little bit. So it's always been different. There's always, funny experiences, funny stories from the hotel rooms and stuff. But, Caleb's been a good roommate and there hasn't been any problems with him yet.
So do you guys, is there any fighting? We fight over the remote. What's the deal? Who gets control of that? Yeah,
so we were actually roommates during camp as well. And I think we're just some old souls. We was asleep by lights off at 9:45 in our room, get ready for the game, getting our word before, get to sleep, and, get up early in the morning. So I think maybe just being an older dude, I know I'd be hearing some of the younger guys down the hall and stuff, having fun and joking around, but I think those days for me are over.
So what you're saying is back when we played, we had chicks rocking 80s volumes that we would play sometimes. And we also had a 1980s-esque movie that we would all go into a room and watch. Is there anything like that you guys do? Because I know that you guys go back, you kind of work the game a little bit, you kind of watch some ball together. Is there any time for you guys just to kind of get together and do some fun things, or is it really hey man, I'm going to bed, I'm old, I got to get ready for this 3:30
So
kick?
yeah, so on Fridays we have best Fridays in football, and that's kind of Coach Day's philosophy is this is a day for we've worked all week, go grinding at practice, and this is a day to kind of relax and have a little bit of fun. There's a lot of games going on best Fridays in football, and then he pulls us up, and then we're in straight into the walkthrough. So having a good job of being able to have fun, but being able to lock in. And then, when we get to the hotel, they have a movie playing. There's some football on if there's anyone playing on Friday. And then also we meet one more time, to watch over some more film, get all the corrections out, all the checks ready, and to go tomorrow. But yeah, like you said, someone like me who's been here for a little bit, I'm okay with skipping on all the fun and jokes, man. I'm trying to go out there and watch the film and go play.
Oh, no,
you're all business, man. I absolutely love it, man. That's what I love about it.
Well, but he's a guy, Schleggs, that loves movies and streaming stuff. That's why I didn't know, Lathan, you'd be sitting there. Maybe you've got your iPad out, stream some shows. watch some movies, some different things, and kind of, I don't know if you're bringing Caleb along with you. These great little series you've been watching.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I know we always talk about Game of Thrones. I finally talked my girlfriend into watching Game of Thrones, so I'm rewatching it again. And you talking about dude that streams. I started, I think, 2 weeks ago. I'm already on like season 5 again. It's the only thing I'm watching, unless I'm watching film really right now. And I'm reliving every crazy episode. I'm feeling the pain of characters dying and stuff like that. So that's what I'm watching right now.
Do you get a chance like after the game? I mean, 3:30's a little bit rough because by the time you get home, it's a little bit late. You guys check. I mean, you chill out, watch some of the night games. You get a chance to watch USC LSU on Sunday night. I mean, what are you kind of doing with some of the free time post game?
Yeah, so I definitely, there were some big games this weekend. So, I definitely got to watch the Texas A&M Notre Dame game. That was a game I tuned into. And then I stayed up a little bit for that Arizona game. And then last night I definitely watched the LSU USC game. And, yeah, there were some great games.
Hey, let me ask you this. So now, excuse me, you get to see Jalen McClain. You get to see Malik, right? Like, How is it when now, because you're the older guy and you have so much experience and you have a very, very high football IQ. How fun was it to watch those guys get in, and how did you help them on the sideline about what you saw in the game and then being able to articulate that to them as they were able to go into the game?
Yeah, so just to kind of bring some humor to it. It's funny. I remember being that guy that was I always joke around. It was me and Ronnie Hickman, my freshman year, his sophomore year. We'd be the guy on the sideline watching, and the game would be going. You would think it would be a blowout. So we're watching. We're like, okay, we might get in this game. We might get in. And then, the defense lets up an explosive. The defense score. The offense scores on the other team. And then we looking at each other like, dang, we're not getting in this game. So I remember being in those shoes, but being in this game, being able to have the iPads now and bring the film to the sideline was definitely something that helped this year. Where Coach G and Coach Wall going over the corrections right in front of us, and I just made sure to let Malik know and Jalen know, like, stay locked in. Like, even though you're not in the game, play the game in your head, make the calls, make the checks in your head. So when you go out there, you've basically been playing the game for the 3 quarters that you technically weren't on the field. And I think they went in there and played well.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the tablets on the sideline. And, in high school, and I don't know if you had this, most of the high schools now, Lathan, they've got, the big screen and they're watching the film instantly. The NFL, you would have stills, and they still only have like the still pictures, but they're on the tablets. You guys get to see it all. Now, it's good and bad because you can plead your case to your coach about where you were in some things, but you also get caught if you're trying to lie and be like, well, I was actually over number 2. No, I was outside of them. How did this happen? I mean, so how was that the first time where you guys had all those tablets and everything in the film live right when you came off the field?
Yeah, so I think that's funny that you said that. Yeah, so there is no more, oh, coach, I did this or I saw this, because no, you did this. Like, I can see it right here on the field. So that clears it all up. But it was nice to be able to, watch, see what the offense are doing. The coaches being able to explain it is so easy. It's just clear communication. And then being able to make the corrections, like me and Coach G talked about today when I went in there to watch some film. I was like, asked him if we could watch over the corrections from the game. And he was like, we've already made the corrections. Like, we saw him on the sideline already. So just, being able to make those corrections live and then go out there and fix it, which, I mean, I feel like there was plays in the game where maybe I didn't want to play it certainly like I did in the first quarter, and then I made that play in the third quarter and the fourth quarter because I already seen it. So stuff like that, I think, made us play even faster in the second half.
And then lastly, before we get you out of here, kind of what's your Monday routine like, or Sunday, Monday? You come in, obviously off day, everybody kind of gets together as a team.
Yep.
But then Monday you're kind of off. It's your free day. Well, what are the last 2 days like before you get back into Bloody Tuesdays?
Yeah, so yesterday, Sunday, we get up. I had a breakfast with my grandparents. Luckily, they came here to watch the game. We get in. We have a sermon that's optional. Went and did that. We get the corrections in. The whole team meets first. We watch all the good plays and then watch all the bad plays. Announce the champions, announce the players of the game. We get in there, watch the film. And then people are always surprised. We have a lift that day and we have practice. So we go out there and practice after – bodies beat up to get all that bad stuff out. It's good to get running again, get moving around, and then get off around like 7-ish, and then we get in Monday, and it's there's never an off day, so we'll get in there. And I got up this morning around 7, went in there, got on Western Michigan, got to watch some of their stuff, and then a lot of treatment. Got a long massage in there today. Got with Stu, got some needling done.
Of course.
Cold tub, 7 minutes in the cold tub. Sometimes I see Bobby in there, And then after that, we had a Bible study, actually, more film. And then now I'm here meeting with you guys and should have the rest of the day off to, just relax and get on that Game of Thrones.
Well, good. Get on that. Enjoy that with your girlfriend. I know you had to get some one-on-one time with Stu. I mean, he's about as important as your girl when it comes to getting together and making sure your mind's right. But we appreciate you, Lathan, spending like 20 minutes with us. Congratulations on a first big win. Hopefully this will be a consistent thing, man. And just keep those guys rolling and keep them focused, all right?
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys both having me, man. Thank you.
All right, coming up next, we've got headlines as we break down more of OSU and Akron here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
They're off in the Kentucky Derby as Authentic takes them around the far turn. Tis the Laws making his move now, and they're into the stretch. These two stride for stride. Authentic, tis the Law. Here's the wire. Authentic has won the Kentucky Derby.
All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and we appreciate you guys watching. Please, if you're watching on Bally's, thank you. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, leave comments. We love diving in there, answer your questions, comment on everything. Try to get everything back, trying to get on Spotify, Apple, all the different stuff and vehicles you guys love to consume it. So thank you. We're here for you. Love talking with Lathan as well. He's one of the fine young men that you're going to find on this Ohio State program. So, Schleggs, I know you get the chance to be around him a lot. Really an elite human being, smart player, and really happy to see him have some success early on in his senior year. All right, right now we got some headlines. Our headlines are brought to you by our friends at Affinity Whole Health. They offer personalized plans to help you feel better. They do a fantastic job. Whether you're struggling with weight loss, low energy, you can't sleep at night, you don't feel as strong as you used to, they can help with all of those things to get you feeling like the best version of yourself. They provide expert guidance to get you to reach and safely reach those health goals. They've got all of Ohio covered, Columbus, Cleveland. They're in Indy, they're in Chicago, they're expanding everywhere. So don't wait. Go check them out at AffinityWholeHealth.com. Get your free consult and let them solve your problems and develop that personalized plan for you. That's AffinityWholeHealth.com. All right, Schleggs, we got some headlines here. Mostly an Ohio State focused show today. We will get into some national stuff. Want to get a little bit in there. Some of the just high level stuff as we'll get into more of this tomorrow. But one thing I did notice in the wake of a game that was delayed and crazy long over there in Morgantown with Penn State, West Virginia, I'll tell you what, Drew Aller and that Penn State offense, they look a lot different than they did last year. They're pushing the ball down the field, and they're a lot more explosive, I think, than we are used to seeing this Nittany Lions offense.
Yeah, I mean, I remember coming into that game last year with Drew Aller. I mean, he was averaging, I think it was like 7 yards of completion, and a lot of them were really short passes. In this game, he was able to throw it downfield. He was 11 of 17, 216 yards, 3 touchdowns, right? It's very, very different. We knew that Singleton and their running backs were going to be really good, but going into Morgantown and then having a 2-hour lightning delay, right? Like 2-hour rain delay and on the road, and then to be able to come out fast and score immediately. They really controlled the line of scrimmage in that game from start to finish. Very, very impressive win. I know it's, number 8 at WVU, unranked. It doesn't matter. Still hostile environment on the road. They took care of business. They looked really, really good doing it.
That was a 9-win team last year. I mean, they were juiced up. You saw McAfee over there, all the craziness that was going on. I know we got some clips from over there. Our guy Pat has them going nuts. I mean, talking about drinking beers. He's chugging beers. I mean, all kinds of crap's going on. Donating $1 million to their NIL, making shots, paying scholarships. I mean, there's a litany of things that was going on. They had to shut down classes, for heaven's sake, on Thursday and Friday. Like that's the type of juice that we're talking about. So incredibly hostile environment. Now, maybe not quite as hostile after the weather came through, but like you said, when you're on the road, it's not like you have your big home locker room. When you're jamming in there, you're sitting in the hallway. Like, do you take your pads off? Do you leave them on? Do you get something to eat? Because how long is the delay going to be? What are you eating? Like, there's just so much that goes into it. And just how everything kind of was impacted. Plus, they had the pass interference at the end of the first half. I completely forgot about that. They kind of changed the direction of the game and what was going on. So a lot of stuff there. I still think West Virginia is going to be a good team. But I think Penn State is going to be for real. And speaking of big plays, I want to get – we'll save this. We'll save that for a little tailgate talk with questions coming up after this. One of the other big games – I want to get into is USC and LSU. The game was obviously last night. Did you stay up? Did you get a chance to watch it? Schlags, I mean, it was a back and forth affair.
Really good.
About a bottle of wine and a half deep, maybe two by the end of it. I'm not sure. But I was really impressed with USC and how they were able to run the ball. They were protecting Miller Moss pretty well. Like, they looked like more of a complete football team than I have seen in quite some time.
Miller Moss is real, especially minute 51 left in the game, go down, score a touchdown, got him into field position. And LSU, guys, listen, LSU had 10 penalties for 99 yards, and they were huge penalties, like earlier in the game, personal fouls, taunting, like all of that changed the field position battle in that game. And also, we forget, too, I believe at the end of the half, they missed like a 29-yard field goal. They would have already been up at that point. But again, I just think Miller Moss is a dude like coming into the Big Ten. I think it was Joshua Perry was saying he believed that USC is more Big Ten built than an Oregon is. They just had really good quarterback play. I'm not saying that Gabriel is not a really good quarterback. He is. They just didn't push the ball versus Idaho. But like Miller Moss is a very good quarterback. And the number one thing that impressed me the most was their defense. Their defense is not the defense. Their defense is significantly better. And that's going to bode well for USC as they go throughout the Big Ten schedule.
And there's one other thing that I want to dive into too, Schlags.
Dive into
it. I thought that the USC game, I think Lincoln Riley was a huge win for him. And unfortunately for Brian Kelly, 0-3 in openers. They've lost like 5 non-conference openers or 6 in a row. It's been a long time since they've been able to get that going and get a win. And so it's going to be even longer. Huge win for the Big Ten because you're talking about USC, who I think a lot of people have kind of 5, 6, somewhere in there, beating a top 15 team in a neutral site. It was more of a pro LSU crowd. Kudos to them. Great job ultimately getting it done. I think USC is going to be better than what I thought because I thought, Schlags, they could go anywhere from 7-5 to 11-1 this year, and I wouldn't have been shocked at any of it. I want to circle back to that WVU game one more time. Got an unbelievable clip. And I don't know if you had a chance to see this. Like Penn State, folks, when you go to Morgantown now, you got to be ready. It's a full day's work. And I don't know if you've seen this clip, Schlags.
Oh, yeah, I've seen more.
Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure. You got a Penn State fan out there. I don't know if we can get this pulled up, Pat, or not, but I went to Morgantown. I went there on a visit. Pretty great, pretty fun place. Good time. And then I also went there when my brother was playing at Marshall, and it was just kind of a similar situation. They were beating West Virginia, or right there in the game. My brother actually was playing really well. And then they had a weather delay, and I remember watching them like in Huntington or in Morgantown. I mean, they're like sitting underneath, they're hot, it's humid, they don't have much food. Meanwhile, you look at like West Virginia, they're in the weight room, Schlags, they're all sprawled out, feeling good. But you've got that Penn State fan talking trash right here, waving his Penn State flag around, yada, yada. Bam! That's right, Schlags. Out of nowhere, from the top ropes, coming at him. Big fella, bringing the beef, smokes him. Oh, my gosh. It was unreal. I saw that. I'm like, what am I watching? What's going on? There it was. It was like a giant fish just coming out of the water and swallowing someone.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think he was just kind of running past him, and I didn't know if he clotheslined him or hit him with his body. But hey, it goes back to trading. You got to stay gas station ready if you're going to go down to Morgantown and talk that trash by yourself. Where are the other dudes around you? Like, he had nobody else with him, just a lone Penn State fan. Big guy happens to run up, knock you over. Better get in the weight room and do some unilateral work and work on your balance, Penn State fan. But hey, I will say this about college football being back. It was fun. I thoroughly, my wife didn't necessarily enjoy it, but like my oldest son and I thoroughly enjoyed watching all of college football. And to your point about the Big Ten only had one loss this week. That was Minnesota losing to North Carolina. So it's like, come on, Minnesota. On Thursday, come on, Minnesota.
Yeah, first game. After that, they went 17-0. So after falling to 0-1. And all you got to do is make a field goal and you win that game. All right, coming up, we got some tailgate talk. Maybe get into one of the blocks of the year from our guy, Travion Schleggs. Everybody talks about his ability to run, hurdling guys. Listen, man, real running backs, they block, they lower the boom. We heard Lathan talk about it. We'll dive into that here next in the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Well, how do they know I'm doing this? Did somebody leak this out?
It's social media.
Oh.
That's the way social media works now.
I thought maybe you were just running that yap.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
All right, we're going to dive a little bit more into this Buckeye game here, Schleggs. And the hallmark of a complete running back, a great running back, is great blocking. All right, and you've got to be able to go out there and lower the boom on a linebacker, a big, meaty linebacker sometimes like yourself. And everyone, Trey isn't the biggest dude in the world, but you watch this guy right here. First of all, linebacker needs a little bit more awareness, and it's a great ball delivered by Will. But watch this, step in there, boom, inside out, take him down. Leave no doubt, knock him out, Schleggs. That's what it's all about. And when you watch your All-American running back do that, that's the type of selfless nature that you're looking for here on a football team.
100%. I mean, he had, I think, like 65, 68 yards, 83 yards total offense. Q, I believe, had like 55 yards. I thought they were very balanced about getting their touches. But again, going back to the team, it's all about the team. It's all about the team. It's all about winning as a team. And that's what you do individually. Like, that's speed to power, right? Shoulders over knees, knees over toes, being able to deliver a blow right there in the heart of the pocket. That's what you have to have. And that's going to be on tape for people, right? It's like, do I want to go bull run this guy? Do I got to go give him a move? Do I want to set this up? Right? People are going to be thinking about that when they go in, hesitating because they don't want to be that guy on film. Great to have that early and often as people watch film throughout the season. Good for him because that's how you're evaluated as a running back. It's a totality of what you do. Can you run the football? Can you catch out of the backfield? And more importantly, in the NFL, can you also block?
Oh, and that was one of the calling cards of Zeke Elliott. And that's why Zeke got drafted so high is people looked at him so oftentimes, like great runners, like they're not good at blockers because A, they don't practice it, or B, they don't really want to do it. And that's the guy right there that's like, hey, I'm going to be a humble servant. We've talked about this, the servant leadership a bunch. Is blocking for your quarterback glamorous? Maybe not. It's not going to do to the ground like that, though. Like, that's something your offensive line get juiced about. Like, we could watch the play of him hurdling the guy on the outside zone and picking up like another 9 yards. I'd rather watch this on a Mike Will cross dog that you take out the lead guy, you send a message, and now all of a sudden, like you said, like, that's on film for God and everybody. And those linebackers are running in, they're going to look around next time and be like, oh, hey, you come in here, you run in the middle, you better be ready to go. So that's obviously something we've seen. I want to get this too. We talked a little bit about Sonny Styles moving over and playing Mike, Cody Simon being out nicked up. Shouldn't be anything long-term as my understanding of it, but pretty excited to get him back in there. I know how hard it must have been for him to be a captain, be the Block award winner, and not be running out there on the first game with your team, especially him and Donnie Jackson too. Maybe talk a little bit, Schleich, about 30 seconds to a minute about those guys not being in and the impact from a leadership perspective of what that looks like.
Well, I mean, leadership-wise, you're just going to be on the field. You're going to be communicating because they both have a lot of high, football acumen, high football literacy. And so they're going to be coaching from the sideline. But it's, again, to your point with Lathan, it's 1 of 8, right? So that's one less opportunity I have to go out there and play. A little bit disappointing. But ultimately, I can still be a leader by helping out my teammates when they come off and the things that I'm seeing, especially talking to Sonny, talking to James. What can we help communicate, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just one of those things. And guess what? I already know that he was back in, get treatment ready to go, and he'll be ready to go next week versus Western Michigan.
Yeah, and then like the Donovan Jackson piece, like offensive line, I think got better as the game went on. Maybe not as dominant as you would have liked to have seen, but also you have a guy who's going to be one of your top drafted offensive linemen up there in Donovan Jackson not playing, the road grader at guard. So his loss also makes a tangible difference as well.
Sure.
Listen, but it also opens up another opportunity for the guy to go out there and get significant reps. And so that's kind of what this offensive line is looking for. Chip will get them right, and they'll continue to get better with Coach Fry. Those guys are going to continue to improve. I have no doubt about that. All right, coming up, we're going to wrap up the show. Final segment, parting thoughts here on this Victory Monday on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
They're off in the Kentucky Derby as Authentic takes them around the far turn. 'Tis the Laws making his move now, and they're into the stretch. These two stride for stride. Authentic, 'tis the Law. Here's the wire. Authentic has won the Kentucky Derby.
All right, welcome back into the show. Final thoughts before we get out of here. As we move forward, Schleich, put a big lid on this. We'll talk some more Akron because there's a lot of stuff we didn't even get into as far as some of the young guys playing. We can talk more about Arvell Reese. The 𝗟𝗡𝗩𝗘 catch that wasn't a catch but should have been called a touchdown and a catch. We're talking all about J.J. Smith. You saw Carnell Tate, what he was able to do. Don't forget about 𝗟𝗡𝗩𝗘 as well and what he's putting out there and putting on film. Kind of parting thoughts here, Schleich, in this last 30 seconds.
Real quick, parting thoughts. Brandon Ennis, 60 yards of punt returns. I think all of last year we had like 80-something, right? So in one game, definitely getting us back. I think it's going to happen for them. And lastly, somebody posted this. Dwayne Haskins, very first game he started, 228 yards. Will Howard, 228 yards. He was 7 for 7 in the second half. I see good things for Will in the future.
And that's the thing. People talked about his deep ball accuracy. I thought he threw the ball really well, especially after he settled in the first half. Did a good job. You mentioned closing out 7 of 7. Very, very impressive. You saw his mobility as well. No one's going to confuse him with Braxton Miller, but he moves really well in the pocket. He's got some long-range speed, and he'll scramble and pick up a first down, which is what you want him to do. All right, that's it for today's show. Stay tuned in. Stay locked in here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.